So, guys, is honesty the best policy? We're going to be talking about honesty and transparency within your employees, peers, business partners, relationships, and just yourself. So let's kick it off with some quotes.
Okay, I'll jump in there, Matt. So I have secrecy was the problem, transparency, the obvious cure. And that's by Robert J. Sawyer. I thought that was interesting. Obviously, if you have a secret, it's probably something that could cause an issue down the line. Being transparent with it overall usually is the right thing to do. But when we get into a little deeper, I'll give my thoughts on like if there should be secrets or not.
Yep.
I hear they're no fun.
So mine is transparency is the antidote to hypocrisy, and that's somebody named Brett Merrick. Again, Google image number 7 or 8-ish. But I like that one. You know, I think if ever you find yourself feeling any type of hypocritical, it's because it's a lack of transparency and honesty, whether it's with yourself or the people around you.
Yeah, I brought one. I did bring one.
I just saw you Googling.
Just like you?
Yeah. Well, I Googled before.
Okay. Well, I got here 5 minutes early.
Okay.
I think the currency of leadership is transparency by Howard Schultz. So, you know, I think in a leadership role, being transparent with your team or being transparent with, you know, even superiors, right? Like, is a way to get everybody on the same page, right? They're kind of buying into it because they fully understand what's going on. They understand the why decisions are being made. And I think overall it creates a better work environment. So,
yep, I like it. What do you got, Sal?
For me, I saw your transparency will lead to other people's transformation by Trent Shelton. So for me, it's like, okay, if you're straightforward with someone.
Yeah, I like that. That's very me, actually.
Can I be transparent about something? I think Sal's going to look funny as fuck with his head around in that camera.
I've never seen anything like
his head is just framed.
Have you ever seen anybody use a mic like this?
Can you take a look at this?
Have you ever seen anybody do this?
Have you ever seen anybody use a microphone like this?
Yeah. He's professional.
Hey, whatever gets you to
Haters gonna hate, all right?
Whatever gets you to actually talk into the microphone.
Yeah, we can actually hear you.
You guys are being transparent with me.
All right, say that one again because I really like it.
Transparency. Your transparency will lead to other people's transformation.
Yeah, I like that. I think that, you know, and I'll speak to that one because I just Googled mine. But, you know, honestly, when you are very straightforward with somebody and you're transparent with your thoughts about, you know, what's going on and you try to give feedback, even if it's unwarranted, you can, maybe they're not receptive that minute, right? Maybe they're pissed off that you were transparent with them, but maybe they walk away and they think about it and then they start making changes, transformation. So,
yeah. Okay, so something else just kind of came to me, and it has to do with transparency. So I have a buddy that was a little bit too transparent with us, that was talking to us. He just got out of a relationship, year and a half, 2 years, whatever it was. And he said his girlfriend would not allow him to jerk off.
That's an interesting one.
Wait, what?
And his girlfriend wouldn't allow him to jerk off. Were we talking about this with somebody else?
No, but I mean, I want to see how this goes because if it's
so this wasn't and it wasn't just. And I've heard of girlfriends getting mad if like their boyfriend, significant other's husband watch porn, but it was just like this guy couldn't even like Bobby Drummond it. This guy couldn't.
No imagination.
He couldn't use his imagination because that was essentially still thinking about somebody else. And we were just like, so you guys have been broken up for like a week? Like he was like, well, I haven't yet because I guess he's like holding on just in case. Just in case.
Well, time out.
Wait, this is his new girlfriend?
So I'm not saying
No.
like if you're locked into a situation like that, then maybe that.
That's a red
and we're
flag
gonna
right
get down
there. That's a red
down
flag.
in the itinerary.
That's a red flag.
This is a good story to bring back in terms of when maybe you shouldn't be as transparent.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So we can push it off.
I do think though that I mean if there's an arrangement like hey you can't jerk off but I'm here for you whenever you need it then that's a totally different story.
Well, then you don't need to jerk off.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, if it's on site, you know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So if it's like,
But if you're out of town, it doesn't count. Like
yeah, there's
Different
just
zip code, bro.
there's just a lot there. With transparency and trust go hand in hand together. I feel like that's where the issue comes in off that, but a whole different story. So maybe we'll table this to later on in the discussion. So let's get to what transparency means to you
Yeah.
and where does it fall.
I actually pulled a Brad.
Hey, can I finish my
No.
sentence that I
No,
fucking
because
wrote
I
out?
really want to get to this.
Okay.
Okay.
What does
and
transparency mean to you?
Well, it's
Business
it's
and
not,
life.
It's not. It's not what it means to me, but I googled it, the definition, and it really is like a light shining through a picture or some bullshit, So I was like, well, what does transparency mean in business? So I have a definition. If you guys would like to hear.
Yeah, I'm glad you cut me off to tell about another Google answer that you're copywriting. That you're
So
Alright, fuck
I'll
it.
cut
You'll
Dan
never
off
know.
now.
You'll never know.
I look at transparency almost towards the quote that Sal said. I feel like being transparent is just being clear with somebody, whether it's right or wrong or indifferent. Being the honest truth, and this is just how it is, and not having any outside factors weighing like, oh, am I going to hurt this person's feelings? Is it going to, is it going to give them a bad day? No, it should be. This is the facts. This is how it really is, and you have to take it for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go now, Dan?
Well, yeah, I'll just give you mine. My definition is transparency is like the practice of being open and honest with others, no matter how challenging it might be. For both personal and professional relationships to thrive, I think that you need to eliminate the stigma that comes with being straightforward. So that's kind of just like what I've always thought about transparency.
Yeah. And so I won't even necessarily, because my definition is going to be very similar to your two. But just to kind of piggyback off those, I like the fact that you're talking about like no matter how difficult it can be. And you, Dan, and you and I were actually talking about this, like one of our like not necessarily strengths, more of a weakness in terms of business and leadership is conflict management with some people. And sometimes it's, that plays a big role in being transparent, not just setting expectations up front, but when people are fucking up, letting them know as soon as possible, and then also letting them know the consequences about it. But just in whether you're talking about business, life, friendships, relationships, clients, whatever, I truly feel like the more transparent that you are, the easier everything is going to be in the long term. Because I feel like people avoid transparency because it'll make things easier in the short term in certain situations, but you're just prolonging something that you probably need to fix anyway.
And I think a big part of what you're talking about is where we're at in our business. We're still very small in all reality. So, and we're trying to create a good culture, right? Where we want to have people who like us, who like to come to work. So there is that part of like, oh, if I really tell this person what they need to hear, how are they going to handle it? Is that going to hurt me more or is it going to hurt me less? So I feel like I totally understand that because it's just three of us. I mean, I had this situation happen last week. I was transparent with this girl that we have that's kind of working part-time who messed up some parts. And I didn't think I was rude. I actually thought I was very nice about it.
So he was rude, but
no, I mean, it was
Brad
just a
rude.
situation where maybe my delivery was a little off.
Were you as rude to her as you were to Chester Fester?
No,
RVA?
definitely not. Definitely not. No
I think
caps.
Chester listens. No,
Okay.
Well, yeah, he listens to every episode. You got to make show notes. So, no, it was just a deal where I was like, hey, once we, when we're making these, we need to be a little bit more aware of what's happening here.
Yeah.
After, mess 1 up, it happens. Mess 40 up, maybe we should have asked a question beforehand because, well, the profit we're making off of these and what you're getting paid now don't really align.
Was that your delivery?
That wasn't my delivery.
Okay,
but
so you're talking to her like a child.
I'm just telling you guys, like,
Yeah.
and it just wasn't, it didn't,
Register?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's just a
Well,
deal where I probably should have just bit the bullet and then went and made them after hours on my own. But it was like it had to be said.
I mean,
No.
bite the bullet. There's I think there's a difference between like changing a delivery, as opposed to the message, right?
Yeah.
Like, and this is probably a good segue. It's like Dan and I, like, we get into arguments a lot, and well, not a lot, but every so often. But whenever I come back to Dan, it's usually his delivery is dog shit. Like his delivery is
but then you were right.
I'll wait a day and I'll be like, you know what, the message, like there was a lot in that message that I could unpack and actually like I can take away, and you are right. I'm like, I'm like, but you didn't need to fucking threaten to kill my mom.
The last one was, oh shit, dude, I'm gonna need a PDF reader to download this message.
No, it literally was so long. Have you ever had a message so long that you have to like open it?
No, it's not.
Put it in a note
Get
so you
the
can
fuck
actually
out-
see
swear
it.
to
Get the
God,
fuck out of
there's
here.
an-
I've never
I've never
had
seen it
that.
before. There's like it's like this big, and then there's an arrow at the end, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it opened a whole another app. I swear to fucking God, I didn't know it was a thing.
Who did you
I was
hurt?
busy.
That's
I was busy.
Yeah, but
What did I start with? Like, I don't want to go back and forth, but here's a biblical text.
yeah, it was a long one. We're kind of already talking about this, or do you guys want to talk about stories where, or can you think of any times where businesses maybe they had a lack of transparency and bit somebody in the ass?
So I don't know. I think maybe surface level, you'd see a situation where you think it bit somebody in the ass, or maybe you upset somebody, or a system got messed up. But I think at the end of the day, that was just kind of weeding out the weak or the bad part of the business. And I think that if that person took that to an extreme where they decided to quit, I think that was just probably a matter of time, and you probably rebounded a lot better.
Well, I think that there's two transparencies. One is like, hey, you're fucking up, like, and we need to work on this, and here's why, right? But then there's the transparency of the overall health of whatever's going on, whether it's family, whether it's, your business or whatever. And part of that's the whole audit thing, like be transparent with yourself. Like, I'm actually fucking fat, But
You are?
yeah. After this week, dude, I'm getting back in shape though.
Yeah.
But for example, I think that being transparent, where it could bite you in the ass. Look at the Elizabeth Holmes, I think that's her name, Theranos situation, where the very top knew all this shady shit was going on, but they weren't transparent with the people that worked there because they probably wouldn't have worked there then.
Yeah.
But it bit them in the ass because all the, you know what I mean? Eventually, it all comes out, right? And so I think that's a transparency that can bite you in the ass, is if you try to do shit behind people's backs, or you try to do things and not tell everybody what's going on, then the communication gets broken down on the lower levels. Things aren't working like they're supposed to because you're trying something, but you haven't told everybody what's going on. And I think that's where you can kind of get bit in the ass. And then on the flip side with the transparency, and I just did this the other day with one of the guys that works for me. I said, listen, like, here's how much money we need to bill to break even. And I'm like, I'm going to be fucking completely transparent how much money I make off you and everything. And I broke it all down, and it was like, I need to bill $365,000 just to break even on you. And then after that, I'm making fucking great money, And so, yeah, you're going to make me a lot of money, but I'm risking, and then breaking down that whole, this is my risk. This is my feelings about this whole situation. And I think just being transparent that, yeah, dude, I will make money off of you. But before I do that, you're making more money off of me than I'm making off of you. And so how do I bring the value to you so that you bring that value back to me in terms of dollars? Like, but that's just a small thing where it's complete open transparency. I don't have to tell him the margins, anything like that, but I do that. And when he leaves that meeting, he was all fucking fired up, ready to go.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say that's probably one of the things that I try and avoid, where I think transparency shouldn't exist. Is like, this is my business. What I make is my deal. Like, you as an employee are a tool to get me what I need. You're paid how you want to be paid. You're happy with that. If you're not happy with that, we'll have a discussion. We'll see what we can do. But I feel like it's always a weird deal to be like, oh, hey, look, we made 10 grand off this job, because then I feel like that almost opens up a can of worms more so to be like, oh, well, if you made that, how come I only made, like, they know what they made for that week or the process of doing it.
But that's what they think you made, right? Like you bill 20 grand and they're like, wait a second, he paid me X amount of dollars. Let's say it's 3 grand. He made 17 grand. No, I didn't, motherfucker. I had this expense, this risk, that risk. I was in a fucking back room for fucking 4 years with nothing, before I made that. And so that's where I think the transparency helps, is like, and I agree, like, there is some stuff that should stay private, but I think to get everybody as like on the team of the whole company succeeding, not just like how much you personally make or whatever, like they want to understand every aspect, you know. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to it for sure. It's
Mm.
just been something I've kind of avoided, I guess. I feel like it's like kind of like yeah, I am the one taking the risk. I am the one that has the most to lose here. I think as long as you're still getting a paycheck, you're happy with what you get. It shouldn't really matter what happens on the back end of my things.
Yeah.
And that's right or wrong. I don't know. I mean, a lot of public companies, you can see what every single one of their employees makes at a high level. That also pisses people off a lot of times, but they don't realize that that person brings a whole lot more value than other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have a historical fuck up, blunder, whatever you want to call it, on a company that didn't show enough transparency. And this is an advertisement, because this is like this. You could probably research stories about this forever with advertisements. So it was like false advertising or whatever. So both Enzyte, what is it, Extends and
Ooh.
Enzyte falsely promised to give men a new big swing of confidence. So
Yeah.
for those of you that can't decipher that, it's a bigger dick.
You use Extends? Have you tried them?
I tried it a couple times. I didn't. I think it's just so small that like the gains are just a 20% gain on something that small isn't that big of a gain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they ended up paying $6 million in a settlement in 2010. And the guy that was running the company, I guess his name's Steve Warshak, was sentenced to 25 years in prison after he overbilled his people and told them they were going to get bigger dicks, and it never happened.
Jeez.
Fun
It is a
fact,
Ponzi
eh?
scheme.
Yeah. And then this isn't, this probably ended up working to his advantage, but did you guys know, like, they called it the vitality curve? So Jack Welch, when he was CEO of GE, it's kind of like what you do with your clients, right? They would rank them at the end of every year, and all of his employees for all of GE, and they would automatically fire the bottom 10%. And
Really?
they would let them know, like, hey, at the end of the year, you are going to
I
get
think that's
ranked
great.
and according to your job, and the bottom 10% of you are going to get fired, so that we can bring in a top 10%. He left the company or left his chairman or whatever, and a lot of people thought it was like pretty hardcore, pretty harsh, whatever. But there's nothing that shows that it was like bad for the company historically. Side note, they also called it the rank and yank.
I like that.
The rank and yank.
I'm gonna start using that.
It's the same system Dan uses for his porn collection.
So I have a story that I think I remember that is an interesting transparency. Where was it the CEO of FedEx who went to Vegas, didn't have enough money to cover payroll, goes to Vegas, bets it all, comes back, can cover payroll for the week. I feel like if that's a situation where he's like, hey guys, just so you know, don't know if I'm going to be able to hit payroll next week. How many people do you think would have shown up?
None.
Yeah. Well, unless he's just the fucking best motivational. We're gonna make through this, dude. I'm gonna go play some fucking blackjack. We're
Yeah.
coming home, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of companies. I remember during COVID. Remember, Matt, the office we worked at, was it
Encore?
Nextcore?
Nextcore.
And there was that event management company for pets or whatever. Basically, what they did is they put conferences on in the pet food space or pet space.
Okay.
And so they would go around the country and do conferences. Well, obviously, conferences were closed. They were making no money. And the employees stuck around because the owner was transparent with them saying, hey, guys, it's tough, right? Like, and he had a saving grace of let's get you on unemployment, the extra however many dollars everybody got. But they stuck around with him where they could have said, fuck, we need to find something else because he was transparent, So I think that could go both ways, maybe, if it's the right situation. But I agree. I mean, there's definitely times. I don't think you need to go in a room of people and be like, yeah, guys, I'm going to be super transparent today. Fucking Sally is really sucking. She's probably going to get fired, Sally. Just a heads up, might get fired.
On the chopping block.
Just want to be super transparent. Have a good day, guys. We'll talk on Friday. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, that's a little much.
No, I agree. And I was looking into it, and I guess, well, what they say is on the backside, a lack of transparency can foster like a big time us versus them mentality. So when you have zero visibility into what's going on with the company, it can foster just a split and divide between them and management, and people would actually much rather quit than actually go to management and address the issues because they feel like they can't go to management. But then again, does every employee need to see the P&L? No. Does every employee need to know what every other employee is making? Absolutely not, right? So there's definitely an in between. Do you guys have any areas in your life that you wish you were more or less transparent right now? Any areas that you can think of? Why are you smirking, Brad?
I just feel like it's such a loaded question.
Well, so I'll go. Like I asked this question because I wish at times I was more transparent with myself. And we're the easiest people
Cop out answer.
to lie to ourselves. Like, it's a very easy thing to lie to ourselves. Like, when we're like, hey, Sal, do you go out every night? He's like, no. Like, well, did you go out?
Yeah,
didn't you
Sal,
we go, didn't you go out last night? He's like, no, I just went to the Bastille concert.
He's not really going out.
Okay, but like to me, it's like going out. It's like, okay, bar hopping.
Going to a
stuff.
concert's not
So
going
we're going to the lake, okay? And Sal's like, I'm a game time decision. Why not just say I'm not going to go when you don't want to go?
Why not just say
that's a situation where just be transparent.
Because I'm still like, to me, I'm like still undecided.
He's not.
You can just say, hey,
but then
I don't want to
told us
go.
all these things you have. I got work on call, and you started making excuses where you could have just ripped that Band-Aid off. Yeah.
I can bring some water wings for you.
Yeah, so what Sal should have said is like, I don't want to go because I don't know how to swim and I'm scared. And that's okay. It's okay to be afraid.
Yeah.
But if you were transparent,
We'll make fun of you.
we wouldn't be bringing this up
okay.
on the podcast, right? So risk reward, right? No, but kind of back to what I was saying. I think it's easy to lie to ourselves. Anybody, right? Whether you're talking about like, hey, I feel like I'm out of shape, and I didn't mean to just point to you. I'm just saying that. In general, I'm just saying. I was going to go down the road and say,
hey, don't worry. Being transparent leads to transformations, which is right after this week.
Which is right after this week.
Fucking transformed, baby.
Bobby's starting 75 hard Monday if you want to start with him.
Really? Nah.
No. So it's whether it's talking about you being in shape, like not doing as financially well as you should, drinking too much, or maybe working too much, not spending enough time with family. Like a billion things that you can convince yourself of. Like at the end of the day, though, it's the sooner we're able to look at the things that we're doing objectively, and it's not to say anything's wrong that we're doing, but just say like, is this serving me? Is this leading me to where I want to be in life? And is this really correlate to what I'm telling myself is most important in my life? The sooner that we can do that stuff, to me, the sooner you're going to live a happier life in general, because you're going to be transparent yourself and you won't feel this conflict of like, I'm saying this, but I really subconsciously know this is happening.
No, I mean, I agree with that. I think that's a whole audit your thoughts thing. And I was actually taking a shit today, and I was thinking about that. I was like, well, I could sit here and, because I keep thinking about, I want to do these golf tournaments, all that. I don't have time to practice, right? So the reality is if I took that time that I did have and put it in another area of my life, like, who is that person that I could become if I just completely gave up golf? You know what I mean? And it's probably way closer to the version of myself that I want to be, but I hold on to this shit that, like, it's important, but is it really important in the long term? And I think that's where I struggle in terms of like, what do I need to cut off to like move the needle in the right areas?
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think we all have those thoughts. Like, I think we all have like, if I could give up this, what would my life be like this? Like, I do that. And I was actually talking about this with a couple of buddies. It's like, this was such a long weekend and such an unproductive weekend. It was like I was like, what if I like not even gave up drinking? Just what if I gave up drinking as hard as I do? Because it's like, I'm not a guy that like sips beers on the weekday, like when I'm at home by myself. But when I go out, we do it up. Like, and
we'll find out.
Yeah, I'm going to say, like, because in Colorado, you didn't do it up.
You were a huge bitch.
I'm ready for...
You were like, oh my God, I can't believe you guys did edibles.
Yeah. It was in the middle of a fucking pandemic. There was no bars open.
You were pissy.
We were in a hotel room. Me and Dan got high.
I don't want to get drunk with you fuckers. Like,
he didn't want to break out the thong.
Yeah.
No.
Now he's being transparent.
If I'm going to lose productivity...
Inside joke.
Did you really get thongs for this weekend?
I didn't, but I can. I mean, I have my own thong that I am bringing.
Okay.
So
maybe it's a good idea I didn't come to this.
I don't. Thongs aren't my thing. No.
Are you being transparent with yourself?
Yeah.
If we're being transparent, we were on a
thongs.
trip and Matt moved his clothes and a thong fell out.
Oh, in LA.
Oh, in LA. That's
he had to bring that thong to LA.
I mean, I'm a pretty transparent guy. I feel like I'd tell you guys if I brought a random person back to the hotel that we were all staying in.
Whoa. I
We're
don't
not
think
talking about that.
I don't think we thought it was somebody else's thong.
Yeah, we thought you brought it with you.
Oh. I mean,
Yeah.
Nobody ever thought you brought a girl back to the room.
it's like zero chance of that happening. Yeah. No, not my thong, guys. I promise. I'm being transparent.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We're on time. You guys got anything else?
Hopefully we're all back next week.
Mm.
I mean, who knows what's going to happen this weekend?
Yep.
Yeah, well, that's kind of dark to go.
Damn, bro.
But- yeah, dude. Shit.
It won't
He's
be
being
that.
transparent.
We'll be back.
No, we might actually record a podcast while we're down there and say some dumb shit. So
We could bring in Jake.
Oh, yeah.
We could bring in a bunch of people.
I'd say bring the shit. Let's let the cameras roll a little bit and just see what happens. And just like maybe I'll come up with a list of questions for everybody. So like even the people
I think
down on
what
the
we
pod.
should do is we should get down there and we should all four of us get up and be like, all right, cool. Now that we got you guys, this is a mastermind weekend. And
Or
we're
like
gonna we're gonna go
present a
through
pyramid scheme.
We're gonna go through some
Lock up,
exercises.
lock up
Like a
the
prank.
throw away all the beer.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, guys, we're gonna start vision planning.
Yeah.
You're too
Exactly.
strong to have a fear.
Yeah.
Make your vision board. Do some cutouts.
We should totally do that, actually.
100%. Yeah. So we'll
And we
if-
could have Tommy record and watch people's faces. Be like,
Huh?
it's gonna be such a
serious?
bitch for Rich to edit, but oh well.
Like no golfing.
Yep. Well, we appreciate you guys listening. Please, if you like any of the content that we're putting out, share on Instagram, share with a friend, subscribe, and leave us a review. Otherwise, wish us luck this weekend, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Deuces.
Deuces.